Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to Thrive Talking, the Making Men Great Again podcast. Our new podcast dedicated to making men great again. Through bringing honesty, integrity, care, compassion, strength and respect to the brotherhood of man. Join the movement and begin your journey with us towards greatness. I'm your host, Tommy, and I'm joined as always by my noble steed, faithful companion, close friend, brother, and of course, your co-host, Sam. How are you doing today, brother?
All is good, mate. All is good. When you said there about the noble steed, I just imagined us being like, you know, the film Bad Boys, Bad Boys for Life, but the modern day version, riding in a Cadillac,
But we're
bouncing up and down. But we're from Lancashire instead.
We're from Lancashire, and we're far more classy and elegant, I would say, than the Bad Boys. But
You think so?
I was lost for words there, Sam. It was quite the comparison.
Yeah, all's good, mate. How's you? What's happening?
We're back in the studio. Episode 6. I guess at some point I'm going to have to stop saying our new podcast because it won't be so new anymore.
Mate, we're seasoned veterans now. 6 episodes in, we're basically running the scene.
At what sort of episode count do you think that we can stop saying the new podcast?
Don't know. I think we're already there, mate. It's not new. I guess if people are listening for the first time, it's new to them, isn't it?
It certainly is.
It's not new to us, certainly. So,
yeah. If you are listening for the first time, welcome. We're glad to have you on board. Hopefully you enjoy what you hear and you strap in and join us on this journey. Sam, are you thriving at the moment?
As it currently stands right now, I do feel like I'm thriving. Reason being, I've just come off a very good workout, a good, nice, long swim in the pool. And I tell you what, I think I said it a few podcasts ago. As soon as you do any form of physical activity and work, a workout, sorry, I just come in, I just get home and I'm like, wow, incredibly awake, ready to go, thriving.
It's a good time to get stuck into recording an episode then, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, definitely.
And tell us a little bit about what you've been up to. Last week you was in Mallorca on the fitness retreat.
Yeah.
What's been happening since you've been back home?
Since then, mate, it's just been doing that, but unfortunately not in Mallorca, in the northwest of England, which I tell you what, though, we've had some good weather.
We have.
We've had some hitting the 30 degrees down here in the northwest. I know it's been similar for you up there, isn't it?
It certainly has, my friend. It certainly has.
So a lot of consistent training, to be honest. Keeping that fitness nice and tight. What about you?
Yeah, I would like to say that I am thriving. Feeling great today, especially. I've just come off the back of a 24-hour fast, which was broken at about 6 o'clock today, with a nice succulent ribeye steak and a nice 3 egg scramble with some mature cheddar cheese mixed in there for good measure. All cooked.
Sorry, Tommy, come on. A 3 egg scramble.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
What's wrong with
you? We have had the 4 egg scramble trending.
It's gone worldwide. Hashtag 4 egg scramble.
It certainly has. No, the vast majority of the time, I'd completely agree, Sam. That you can't have too many eggs, and the more in that scramble, the better. But simple reason was I'd usually just, when I'm breaking such a long fast, I would usually just get the steak down and nothing else. But I was really feeling the need for those eggs. those eggs today and a little bit of dairy in there as well, just to really nourish myself and replenish the system after that good old fast. So I didn't want to overdo it, because for those of you who haven't fasted before, if you don't get that first meal right, you can make yourself feel pretty crap, to be honest. So I've learnt that the hard way, Sam. I think the first ever time I did a 24-hour fast, I went to my mum and dad's and had like a massive roast dinner with all the trimmings, and I felt pretty lousy afterwards, it's safe to say.
Yeah, the temptation there is to just eat as much as possible, quick as possible, in it, because you're so hungry. But it's getting that right nutrients in straight away, isn't it, to help your body carry on that process of healing.
You don't need anything else once you've consumed the right sorts of food, like we've spoken about in the fuel and recovery episodes. Once you consume that nice cut of ribeye steak and a couple of eggs, you feel satiated, you feel electric. You're not bloated, you're not lethargic, you're energized, and you just, yeah, it's a good feeling. So I'm raring to go. I'm really excited for today's episode, Sam. Yeah.
Good. A salad just isn't going to cut it, is it? After you've done all that, you need something proper. If you'd washed that down with a nice glass of raw milk, I would have said well done. But you've got 3/4 of the way there.
I think you're being a bit tough there, Sam. It's hard to please. To be honest, I do usually have a bit of raw milk there as well, but I'm out at the moment. My supplies are barren, so I need to arrange a trip to the local farm for some fresh raw milk, and I should stipulate that it's always in glass.
Yeah, needed.
None of those microplastics in this physique, my friend. I'll tell you.
Good. Prime athlete, aren't you, mate?
Not quite, but we're working towards it.
We're getting there.
The best is yet to come. So episode 6, Sam, as we said, and we're discussing another of the Thriving 5 pillars today, the key components to achieving greatness and thriving in each and every aspect of your life. So before we get into that, do you want to share with the listeners the new segment that we've decided to introduce to the episode this week?
Well, we have decided to add this new little segment, and it's going to be Sam's whinge of the week, isn't it?
It certainly is.
I'm just laughing, thinking. I'm just laughing about that. It's because I am fairly known within, everyone to be the Carl Pilkington of the Northwest. Those who don't know Carl Pilkington is a bloke from Manchester. He did a programme called An Idiot Abroad. He basically just complains about everything. Wherever he is, whatever he's doing, he moans about everything. And I just think it's good to have a little rant every now and then about something. Get it off your chest. See what people think. And it's no surprise, Tommy, that this week's whinge is about vaping. I know for the listeners, we've put vaping in room 101 every week, but it really does aggravate me when I'm seeing more and more people vaping. And why are people vaping? The reason that vapes was invented was to, get people to wean off actual physical cigarettes, to get rid of that nicotine, get rid of that addiction. A nice little sort of moving away from it, isn't it?
Arguably far worse, but we'll not go there.
Exactly, and this is the point. It's now got to a point where, we've got teenagers, kids just starting high school, walking around with these stupid vapes in the mouth, thinking they look cool because their other mates do it, and what they don't, and they've obviously never smoked in their life. and they think, "Oh, that's cool. I'll have a vape." I know someone who's a girl who's 11 years old, a family member, and she's vaping. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, it's like you said, Tommy. It's arguably worse than actual smoking itself. You know, there's loads of stuff on it, like, you know, you can get the lung damage, the heart problems. Not only that, but it is just as addicting as smoking itself. And it's just driving me insane seeing people do it. And why I'm on one, Tommy, because this is the whinge of the week. I'm going to keep going.
Please do.
It's not only people trying to wean off cigarettes, but people who've never smoked a cigarette in their life are vaping, and that is what aggravates me the most. And then they get addicted to it because of the nicotine in it, and it's just like, what are you doing? You don't look cool. You just look stupid, and you're gonna just cause yourself so many problems that you don't even realise.
What is it specifically that aggravates you the most? So is it the fact that people are just mindlessly damaging their own health, self-inflicting, or is there something particular that's really, really bothering you?
Well, you've just said it there. You know, they don't understand how much it's damaging the lungs. They think it's not a cigarette, it's not as bad. I mean, it can quite easily be just as bad. But also, it's the whole thing of the trend, the fashion, everyone, you know, following, being a sheep. You know, oh look, let's smoke a vape because everyone's doing it. And you know, you see more and more and more of these vape shops just popping up on every high street. Everywhere you go, it's vapes this, vapes that. And you might as well just be opening the shop that sells crack cocaine, because I mean, you know, I don't know what's worse. It's just another addiction. Yeah. It's just people following the crowds, following the latest trend, not thinking for themselves. That's just even more annoying.
You might as well put some heroin in a Haribo wrapper and just distribute it to the school children.
Literally, yeah.
And I'm at danger of turning. I really enjoyed that, Sam, and I'm at danger of turning Sam's whinge of the week into Tommy's soapbox segment. But I mean, you just want to. Got to be careful what we're saying, of course, here, and all this is, we are just poking a little bit of fun and having a laugh, but there is serious undertones. But you just want to knock all the stupid thoughts out of people's heads who are vaping, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
It seems like they're just short of a proper good hiding.
You know, you're right. It just annoys me. It's not. There's no benefit to it at all, other than the people making the vapes. They're not doing, like, you know, they started with the cigarette packets. They started putting pictures of babies, the insides of people's lungs, and they should do the exact same on vape packets, because it's doing just the exact same damage. But there you go.
No, I totally agree, Sam. And I was dubious when you said that your whinge of the week was about vapes, because it's the flavour of the month with you, Sam, at the moment.
I know.
Pardon the pun, but I think you make a great point, and just to reinforce that a little bit, I was parked in my parent and child bay at Asda a couple of weeks ago. The missus nipped in to pick something up, and a guy pulled in next to me, and all the windows up on his car, and he had the largest vape that you've ever seen in your life. It was like he was holding a full length of drain pipe to his mouth with an industrial battery strapped to it, and the clouds that were billowing out of his mouth, and he's sucking that deep into his lungs, and destroying his hormones, and killing a few brain cells and wrecking his lungs in the process. And I looked in the back, and there was a child, probably no older than 6 months old, in a baby seat in the back. And I thought, what chance does that child have? It really, I found it quite distressing, actually. It upset me. And I just thought, what a shame. We spoke about fatherhood and being a good role model and giving your children the best chance. And I just can't comprehend that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Tommy, but you see it all the time. You see people pushing prams and smoking on a vape or an actual cigarette.
In a confined space, though.
And that's outside, but imagine what they're doing in their own house.
Yeah.
You can just see them sat there with all this smoke sat there while rocking the kid, and it really does upset me. But let's leave it at that, mate, shall we? We don't want to go too deep. It's just a rant.
We shall. But listen, UK vape industry and across the globe, we're coming after you. Thrive Talking is going to take you down. We'll not rest until every vape shop in this country is closed down and out of business.
And please, if you're an owner of the vape shop, please get in touch and we'll have you on the podcast. Because if you think you're doing good in the world, we've got a few words for you. To be honest,
we certainly have.
Anyway,
children, it's not cool. Walk around with a litre glass bottle of raw milk instead, or some raw honey, or a nice big ribeye steak. That's what should be trending.
It should. Do you know what's funny about that, Tommy? I'm taking away from vapes now. Eddie Abu, do you know the bodybuilder who goes on about eating steak and eggs?
Great guy from what I've seen.
Yeah, unbelievable. He did a little video the other day, and it was comparing. He was walking down the high street. He firstly walked down the high street with holding a big tomahawk steak and chewing on it, and then he walked down like holding a bag of sweets. And he said no one batted an eye when he was holding the sweets, but everyone was looking at him weird when he was holding the steak. And he was like, "It should be normal that we're eating steak, not a bag of sweets." You know what I mean?
I totally agree with that, and it goes back to sort of how we've been conditioned, social conditioning, and the way we've been made. We're sort of told and made to think a certain way, and it's absolutely ludicrous when you step back like that and think about it.
Yeah, it's mad,
it's almost comical, isn't it?
It is. But there you go. Shall we move on, mate? Get into the meat and gravy.
We certainly should. Yeah. We're not here to speak about vapes today. That's just Sam's Whinge of the Week. I hope you enjoyed the new segment. Let us know, and strap yourselves in for future episodes and future editions of that new little segment there. I'm personally looking forward to it next week again when we will be discussing vapes.
Part 2.
I'll just add a little disclaimer in there, and I'll speak very quickly. Thrive Talking, the Making Men Great Again podcast, is officially licensed to offend.
P&Cs apply.
Right. No. Vapes and joking aside, Sam, we're discussing episode 6 today. We're discussing another of the thriving 5 pillars, as we've already alluded to, and in particular we're covering challenge today. So should we get started?
Hey folks, just want to interrupt the podcast there to tell you all about our delightful sponsor, and that is Honourbound Clothing. Now, Honourbound was dreamt up in Lancashire, England, and it's a clothing company that are proud of our motherland, that being Britain. Found themselves frustrated with lacks of way to show it, that complements the ethos, the classy, subtle and somewhat edgy style of the British patriarchy. Now, they found a market overloaded with Union Jack brand clobber that was like tourist and giving the side-by-side with the hooligans, and that's not what they're about. That's not what they're about. To fill the gap in the middle, to celebrate Britain's history, heritage and tradition. So, they're also doing 5% of all profits of sales going straight to the charities supporting UK military veterans. So what a cause that is. So please, if you get a chance, head over to Honourbound Clothing and use our exclusive 15% discount, which is Thrive Talking. Link will be in description. Thanks, and back to the podcast. I think we shall. That's the idea, isn't it? But go on, mate.
Sorry about that, my friend. I just thought, before we get into it, let's just look at the definition of challenge. So I was looking at this earlier and I thought, challenge, now we know what it means. We know the context in which we're sort of applying it to the Making Men Great Again podcast and everything that's sort of incorporated within it. But when you actually look at the definition of that word, Cambridge Dictionary says that it's something that requires great mental or physical effort in order to be done successfully. And I thought that sums it up pretty well. But why is it so important, Sam? Challenge.
I think for me, just off that definition alone, what you've said there, it's seeking out that different, let's say, activity, task, or some kind of situation that's going to put you outside your comfort zone. I think I've said this before. This pushing yourself to perhaps overcome maybe a fear or overcome some mental or physical barrier that you face with. And I think it'll give you a goal. And I think setting goals are incredibly important to thrive in life, and achieving that goal and improving yourself overall. So I think that's a nice little brief notion on why I think it's so important.
I totally agree, Sam. And I think challenge, like it's often thought of as a sort of a negative thing. Oh, that's a challenge. That's been a bit of a challenge, and there's sort of negative connotations and a negative perception of what a challenge actually is. But when you sort of think of it in simple terms, you know, pretty much everything we do in life is a challenge in one way, shape, or form. You know, if that's weightlifting in the gym, doing some strength training, that's challenge. And it's the only way that you can grow and you can become stronger and you can lift heavier weights is by challenging yourself to do that and keep pushing yourself, like you've said, Sam. And that goes for anything. If it might be like a mental challenge, it might be reading something, studying something. The only way that you can become smarter and learn new things is by taking on that challenge. And I think we need to switch the mindset here from negative to positive and really shine a light on that. So why is challenge so important? Why is it one of the thriving 5 pillars? And I had a little think of this earlier, Sam, just before we pressed the record button, and obviously all the pillars are of equal importance, and I think they pretty much cover everything that we intended them to do. I don't think there's anything missing. Nothing's come to mind yet, anyway. But without challenge, we wouldn't actually have this podcast. We wouldn't actually be sat here today recording this episode, because in the very essence of doing this, you and I have challenged ourselves. We've created the idea. We've committed to recording it. And we challenge ourselves each and every week when we record a new episode, when we plan a new episode, when we decide what we want to speak to. And without that, as I've already said, we can't learn, we can't grow, we can't fail, we can't bounce back from failures, we can't become smarter, stronger, faster, healthier, better prepared and better equipped to succeed, thrive and achieve greatness. And I think that really, for me, that really hits home of the message here of why challenge is so important in our lives.
Yeah, I agree. You're right there. I mean, it's so easy for us to. It could. Sorry, I should say it could be so easy for us to just not do this podcast. We do it fairly late at night, don't we? After working all day, we're both working class men. It'd be so easy to just be like, you know what, I'm tired, I can't be bothered tonight. But we're doing it because we love it. We're doing it to challenge ourselves, to challenge other people, and overall just become better people. This, like I said before about the goals, this is our goal, isn't it? Our goal is to make men better, and women, and people in general. And this is why I think challenge is so important, because it's about that personal growth, isn't it, and development for ourselves.
Absolutely, Sam. Absolutely, mate. And so we spoke about this in the first episode when we briefly introduced the 5 pillars. But for anyone who's joining us for the first time and listening into this episode, and you've not heard any of the episodes that have come before, not obviously, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to them. But Sam, just so everyone's on the same page and the brethren understand where we're coming from here, what sort of things in your mind are sort of incorporated within that challenge pillar?
Are we talking like actual things we can do to challenge, or more?
Not specifics, but just the sort of things that are included as a challenge. Examples.
For me, definitely, physical challenges is probably a big one for me. Like I said, firstly, pushing out your comfort zone, and making that extra effort. So I'd say, gosh, for anyone out there, it's doing something that you wouldn't normally do in a day. So we can go through life day by day, just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, eating, and it's like thinking, what can you do in that day to challenge yourself, to make yourself think, oh, wow, I've done something different today, which will lead to releasing them good hormones, releasing them feel good hormones, and what is it that you can do to make yourself feel good in a day? Well, it can just be something as simple as, for me, like doing something better in the gym, lifting, doing a personal best on a gym lift. It could be something like achieving something in work that you've been working towards for a while. Something like that, even being healthier with your diet is a challenge for many people. Stopping eating that junk food, like we've already said in the fuel and recovery, because I tell you what, that's a difficult thing for a lot of people.
Of course it is.
To take away that that almost addiction to the sugary foods and the carbs. And I think that can be a challenge, can't it?
It certainly can, Sam. I mean, going back to the Cambridge Dictionary definition there, I think it's fair to say that giving up those processed foods and being more conscious about what you're putting in your body does indeed take great mental effort, and strength to achieve that.
It does. I know for me, if you want me to give specific examples for what I can do or what I've done to challenge myself.
Well, let's go with that. Tell us a little bit about how you're challenging yourself at the moment, Sam, because I know you've got a few things going on.
Yeah. Firstly, I am training for a triathlon. I think I've mentioned it before on a pod, which for me is just an incredible challenge. Doing a triathlon in general is one hell of a feat, because a lot of people who don't really exercise, they probably start with like a little slow run, like the couch to 5K thing. But this is a whole different ball game. This is 3 disciplines: you swim, you run, and then you swim, you bike, and then you run. And I've already done one, but now we're taking it a bit step further, and I'm going abroad and doing one. And that for me is my sole focus at the minute, and it really is challenging me. It is pushing me to my limit on a daily basis. But I love it because it's pushing me. It's making me feel good. It's keeping my diet in check. It's giving me more mental clarity than I've ever had before, because I've got a goal. I'm so focused, and that's what I'm doing at the minute. But as well as that, for me, another thing is I do a lot of solo traveling because I've got friends, but you can't always rely on your friends to go abroad. They've got like their own lives going on.
Yeah.
And I've many times I've got on a plane on my own and flown, to the other side of the world. And now, as far as pushing yourself out, your comfort zone goes, I mean, it doesn't get any more difficult than that. You're throwing yourself into a completely different country, a completely different culture on your own. You're forced to talk to people. You're forced to make friends, and that is such a good way to be more confident, find yourself, realize that you're not as probably introverted or unsociable as you think, and it's such a good way to meet new friends, and literally challenge yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is a good thing to do. But I totally understand not everyone is just going to get on a plane and fly to Thailand or India and places like that. It is easy for me to say, but I know we have to start small most of the time.
Everyone's at different places in their life, and everyone's got different challenges. But I think what you've done there, Sam, is you've given two great examples at probably different ends of the spectrum of what a challenge could be.
Yeah.
And just going back to the triathlon training, I think it's fantastic. It's not the type of sort of fitness or health and fitness sort of training that I'm into personally, but we all have our own interests. But I think it's fantastic what you do in that, and I think it's great that you're pushing yourself and really challenging yourself. And I would imagine that that's taking a great amount of both mental and physical effort. And when you mentioned that, Sam, I was reminded of the saying, and don't quote me on this because I'm not sure word for word, but where the mind goes, the body follows. And I just had the sort of image of you really, grinding and having to push through mentally. But if you've got that mental strength and that resilience and the perseverance, then, as it says, the body will follow, and your physical strength and endurance will naturally follow along.
It's true. It is true, because I think many people, yourself included, and lots of people listening, it's hard to. Sometimes you feel tired, you're lethargic. You don't always want to push yourself, but if you have that goal, if you've got something that you're aiming towards, then you have a reason to do it. I know a lot of people. We go to the gym, you do a workout, you come home, and that's it. You just go into the gym almost to maintain, to keep a little bit fit. If you had a big goal, I feel like people would be a lot more focused. They'd have that more mental clarity. They'd have that motivation to get up and go. And not only would it keep you fit, but it also just affects every part of your life. You productivity will be a lot better. You'll probably build better relationships, family, friends, loved ones, and I think it just helps everything in life.
I would totally agree, Sam. And just a question off the back of that, because you got me thinking there. How do you? Let's use the triathlon as an example again here. How do you stay? How do you keep that motivation? Because at the end of it, you will have completed a triathlon, but there's no grand prize. You've sort of ticked off an achievement. So for some people, that's enough. You've achieved something. You get the feel good factor. You've accomplished something that's really, really difficult. But for other people, that just doesn't cut it, and they sort of need something else to motivate them. So I was just wondering, for you personally, how is that working, and what is the motivation?
You've got me there, mate, to be honest. Like I never, the initial motivation for me was just saying that I've done a triathlon. and that was it. I thought, wow, if I can do this, because I've been plagued with injuries throughout my life after playing rugby.
Yeah.
You know, I've been really in a really bad way, multiple surgeries. You know, and it's like, you know, when the doctors say, oh, you can't do this, you won't be able to do this again, and you're like, well, actually, F you, I'm going to go and do what you said I can't, just to show that I can. But yeah, like you said, once you've done it, what is the motivation after that? I think it's just keeping myself physically fit,
Yeah.
and it's as simple as that. Something that comes to mind there is showing my son specifically, who's very young, he's 6. I want to show him that his dad can do these things and be a good role model.
Yeah.
That does come to mind quite a lot, because the first ever triathlon I did, he was there, and I'll say that the last part of it is the run, and obviously you can imagine you've just swam, you've biked loads of miles, you're absolutely knackered, you're running, and he was there. He was there about 200 yards from the finish line, and I tell you what, as soon as I saw him and I heard the words "Go, Daddy, go," I was like, flipping heck.
That's all
I didn't
it
need
needed.
it. I did not need any more motivation than that. It was like something just clicked in my brain,
Yeah.
and that's what you say about the mental and physical. Physically, my body was like, "Oh, Jesus, get through this." But as soon as I heard his voice, it was like everything just lit up again. And it's amazing what the body can do when the mind tells it can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
no, that's phenomenal, Sam. And I'm really grateful for you sharing that. Not only with me, but obviously with the listeners as well. And I suppose what I was getting at is, for some things, for some challenges, the accomplishment at the end when you have achieved it, that's enough, because you feel great. But for other challenges that we need to do that are of a benefit to us, once you've completed it, that's sort of not enough. And what I was thinking is, for some people, this is a piece of advice. I've used this successfully myself with a couple of challenges that I've been on myself in recent years. Not necessarily with hobbies or things that you enjoy, but other challenges that need to be overcome and that we need to accomplish to sort of grow and develop, is to sort of reward yourself. Like, set to yourself, and I don't know what this might be. It could be. It depends entirely on the individual. But if you set to yourself, right, this is the challenge. This is what I need to achieve. I'm going to work damn hard. I'm going to put all the work in that's needed. Mental, physical effort. I'm going to really push myself, and once I have achieved that, I'm going to reward myself, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And that might be something as simple as treating yourself to a short break. It might be buying something that you've really fancied for a while, that's been on your list. I don't know. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's like the carrot and the stick, isn't it? It's constantly dangling that carrot.
Yeah.
Giving yourself something to look forward to. But you're right, definitely.
And I suppose the other thing is, as well, is the challenges. You've got to keep them coming, and you've got to keep challenging yourself. It's no good saying, "Oh yeah, I've done triathlon now. That's me done. Feet are up. No more challenges," because that's when we stagnate and we fall into bad habits. And I think, I'm pretty sure we mentioned this in the first episode from memory, but we spoke about how you've got to keep pushing yourself. You've got to keep learning and growing and trying to be better, because we're never going to achieve perfection. No human alive can do that. So yeah, back into sort of connect. I keep saying connect. Back into challenge, Sam. For me, some of the examples that I was thinking of that are incorporated in challenge are learning development. So it doesn't have to be a physical feat. It can be doing some study. It could be achieving a qualification. It could be doing a training course. It could be learning new skills. An example for me is both you and I, musicians. We both play guitar. It could be something as simple as learning a musical instrument. You're challenging yourself. You're learning. You're growing. You're developing.
Yeah.
Then, of course, obviously, there's physical growth, weight training, all the stuff we've spoken about previously. You doing a triathlon's a prime example. I remember when I think I'd just turned 16, and not many people know this. Maybe a few who are listening in were there, but I competed at the tender age of 16. I competed in Standish Strongman competition in Wigan, and it was only a very sort of low-level local strongman competition, but there were some big guys there, and they were all grown men. And I went in there as a 16-year-old, and obviously I didn't win. I didn't come close to winning, but I didn't finish last. And that was a massive challenge for me, physically and mentally, to put myself out there and to do that. But that's an example. And then linking back into, again, what we've spoken about in Connect, what we've spoken about in Fuel and Recovery, is sort of the mental resilience that garners physical benefit, is cold water therapy. It's a challenge getting under that cold water when you turn the shower down to freezing, and it's a challenge. Absolutely. Sitting in that sauna for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
All of these things are challenges. Reading a book, challenge yourself to read a book. That's something that I've done this year. I said to myself at the start, I'm not one for New Year's resolutions, but I sort of like starting fresh on I think it's just the way my mind works. But I said to myself, turn of the year, I'm going to read at least one book every month, and build on what I've read in previous years. And that's something I'm really enjoying doing.
Good. Sorry, mate. It's good to hear about the. I did know about the strongman thing, but you think about that. You're going into that against a lot of grown men. You probably know you're not going to win, don't you? But the challenge is there straight away, and it's unreal that you can have the courage to do something like that. And you said about the guitars. I remember the first time I tried to learn to play the guitar, and you know what it's like, don't you, mate? As soon as you pick up that guitar, you're like, "Oh my God, what do I do here?" And it's not an overnight thing, is it, at all? You know, even the best guitarist in the world are still learning now. You never quite perfect it. Again, a challenge, a lifetime challenge, isn't it? And when I think about it, every day, everything you do every day is a challenge, in it. From really waking up to going to sleep. You know, getting up for some people is a challenge. And it starts there.
It does. Those routines, rituals, regimes that we spoke about, they're all a challenge, Sam. And I suppose to really get into the bones of this, what we're trying to say is, and it's what we've said about pretty much everything, this isn't rocket science. What we're speaking about, what we're sharing, it's not rocket science. It's just having sort of that self-awareness and being conscious about it. We course through life, and there are challenges each and every day, but just stop a moment and think about it consciously, and you really will reap the benefits. And Sam, for you personally, you've touched on this, but what would be some of the benefits of completing challenges and overcoming them?
Yeah, good question.
for me, it can be summarised in growth, whether that is physical or
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah, definitely. Personal growth is a
Yeah,
big one, isn't it? Because that's why you set the goal, isn't it? To progress yourself
yeah,
as a human, mentally and physically. I
and-
think also, you know, in addition to the personal growth, it's developing that resilience, isn't it?
mm,
And being able to adapt to different things that you never thought you could do.
yeah,
Because as you're growing as an adult and in childhood, you are seeing the world, you're seeing different things come into your life, and it's how you adapt to that and develop
mm,
to it. And everything is a challenge, specifically when when you've sort of, I'd say, become a man. You leave school and you think, right, what am I going to do with my life now? That's when a lot of challenges do start to come your way.
yeah,
Um, and I'd like to think that there are some teenagers listening to this that will really think about what they're doing and how they're going to challenge themselves moving forward.
yeah. Now, I did get some feedback on previous episodes, Sam, from
Oh, yeah.
the brethren, and one fine gentleman in particular. He is sometimes known as the Prince of Ince, the self-titled Prince of Ince.
I know what you mean.
I'll not disclose any more information on that to respect his privacy and confidentiality, but a very good friend of the podcast, very dear friend of mine, and from day one when we first set out on this mission, he's listened in, he's supported us, he's offered feedback each and every week, and we were speaking about doing like some DIY projects, just normal conversation, nothing to do with the podcast. And he said to me, and I thought this is a great thing to mention in the next episode, because we're speaking about challenges, and what better challenge than to do a DIY project. Can be incredibly frustrating, time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not easy. Especially if you're not someone who does sort of manual work and works with tools and does that sort of stuff naturally. But he said to me, we were speaking about a project that I've got on at home, and he said, just take your time and do it yourself. Get your friends to help. Relish the challenge and the experience. And he spoke about a really good experience that he had with his dad and another friend of his, building something, and that satisfaction of when it was done and dusted, and something that's been built to last with real care and love that's gone into it. And I thought, what a great example, and also in that little nutshell there, an example of how all these pillars, Sam, as we've said before, they're all connected, they all link in with each other. He spoke about getting friends to help and completing it with other people.
Yeah.
Challenges, you don't have to go in a challenge alone. It can be something that you do with other people as part of that connect. It could be something as simple as starting to eat cleaner with your partner, going to do some weight training with your friend Sam. I know you've been doing some of your triathlon training with another couple of our friends who listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's a prime example again of how all these things link in, and how it links in with fuel and recovery. All the stuff that we've already spoken about, cold water, practicing your grip strength through dead hangs. That's a challenge that has physical benefits and benefits with your recovery. Saunas, all this kind of stuff. Whether it's just being disciplined enough to cut out the processed foods and prioritize, those natural whole foods, your meat, dairy, animal products, eggs, all that sort of stuff, honey. And then how it links in with contemplate as well. So contemplate for me reading, meditation, prayer. All of those things can be a challenge in of themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree. From the pillars that we spoke about already, the connect and the fuel and recovery, it's so easy to link in what we're saying with them, specifically with diet and the connecting. You've just made a great point. We've spoke about how these challenges, we can do them on our own, but it's so much more rewarding when you do it with friends, I think. I say friends, it can be with family, friends, it can be with strangers, it can be with whoever you want. Team sports is a great example. Specifically for me, rugby, that's a massive challenge, and the reward you get at the end of that is brilliant. But yeah, definitely with the reading and the reading specifically, that's a great challenge on its own, because we've ranted about technology, haven't we, in the past, and how that's destroying the world, but also we couldn't be without it. And putting that phone down and picking up a book, there's a challenge on its own, isn't it?
That is a challenge, but I also think that it's proof in the pudding sort of thing, that a challenge doesn't necessarily have to be something that you dread, something that you don't look forward to. It can very much be something that's very enjoyable, that's relaxing, that's feel good. So it's like we said at the beginning. Let's flip the switch on sort of the perception of challenges from negative to positive, and I think we've done a good job so far of highlighting that. And perhaps it's a good time, Sam, just to tell the brethren who are listening in what we're going to be discussing next week. So next week, again, we're going to move on to the next of the Thrive in 5 pillars, and we're going to speak about play and how play links in while we're on challenge today. A new sport, a new hobby, training, all examples of play. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And as always, to the listeners, please reach out. Let us know your thoughts, feedback, any questions that you have, anything that's on your mind that could be relating to play. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we sure would. But like we keep saying, all these pillars are going to link together in some way or shape or form. And like Tommy said, it's not rocket science, this stuff. It's like almost we're preaching common sense at this point now, but it's like it's common sense that's not being put into practice, and it's common sense that's being lost. Yeah. So, we hope that people are taking something from this, and you do challenge yourself.
Absolutely. What I would say, and it's something I was thinking about when you were speaking about it earlier, Sam, is sometimes we're sort of mindlessly coasting through life, and we're in autopilot almost, and we're sleepwalking to a certain extent. So we just want to awaken ourselves and sort of be conscious and be present and think about these things. And I think everyone would be doing much better if they did that.
Do you know what I'll say on that, Tommy? You're right there, because the first thing I said in this episode today was pushing yourself out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's what you've just said. People are just so too comfortable. You get into that rhythm of mundane life, and there is no challenge. Maybe your challenge is going to work, and that's where you find difficulty. But at the end of the day, most people have to work to live. It's what you do outside of that. It's what gives you joy. And like you said, Tommy, a challenge doesn't have to be dread and cause fear. It should be something also that you look forward to.
Yeah.
You go to your job that you may or may not like. I don't think anyone really wants to go to work. But it's what you do after that or before it. Get yourself in the gym. Whatever it is that you think is going to challenge yourself will not do you any harm. It can only do good.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, Sam. Absolutely spot on. And the frightening thing for me is, I think it pains me to say this, but a vast majority of men, they don't even realise it, do they? You
No.
spoke, they're so comfortable, everything's a convenience. That they're in the comfort zone, they're sleepwalking, and that they don't even realise it. And
Yeah.
I think it's sad that so many men have settled for mediocrity, um, and they don't have the appetite to challenge themselves to be better. And I find that really sad. I really do. Not just doing it for yourself, but we've spoken about children and partners and family and friends. Why would anyone not want to be better for all
Yeah.
of those people, all of those reasons?
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, mate. And I'm going to say it's a bit of honest. I guess it'll be a bit of brutal honesty here, but a lot of men are very reliant on the partners, the wives, if that's what partnership they're in.
Yeah.
And they become so comfortable. Their other half does they get the tea made every night, they get the washing done, the house is nice and tidy. All they have to do is get up, go to work, and everything's done. And that's where you start to sit in this mundane life. That's probably why other relationships break down as well,
Yeah.
because you're not challenging yourself anymore. You're just going along with life, and then suddenly you become unwell, and then sadly you die. And it's sad. It does make me sad to think that's
That's
what's happening, and I see it a lot. Sorry to keep going, mate, but
no. I'm
I
glad you have.
see this all the time. People who've been together forever, they're just stuck in that lifestyle now. They
I'm,
do, maybe they go on holiday like once or twice a year, and that's their little release.
but
But other than that,
are they
they're
truly
boring.
happy and are they truly thriving?
That's it.
The
That's
answer's
it.
probably no, sadly. But I'm really glad you mentioned that, Sam. I really am. And we've said at times that this podcast is probably going to cut close to the bone for some people. It might do for me and you. It might do for the listeners.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that needs to be said, and we're all about honesty and integrity, and we want men to step up to the plate and hold each other accountable and say, hey, you should be doing better. And that's not because we're being critical of each other and in sort of competition with each other. It's because we care. It's because we want to offer encouragement and want people to be better. But I can relate to that, Sam, because probably 6 years ago, I was sort of comfortable. I'd settled for mediocrity. I was comfortable in misery. Certainly wasn't thriving, wasn't healthy, wasn't doing well. But my relationship now with the missus, that's been the major motivating factor to me to be better and to achieve everything that I've set out to do, and it's given me that real appetite to be the best man that I can possibly be. And you said that a lot of men have they've gone the other way. They've become comfortable and they've lost that motivation and that desire. But I think in reality, it should have the opposite effect. It should be the very reason that we want to thrive and be and achieve greatness and be better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You should always want to better yourself, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
All the time, no matter what you're going through, even if you've got a bout of ill health or you're going through some bad times, it's about getting through that. And I think challenging yourself is how you get through that. And I think the question that I'd put out to everyone is very simple. Is it are you happy with where you are in life now? Is there something? Are you being held back? Are you holding yourself back?
Mm.
Are you sat there now listening to this wherever you are? Do you feel fulfilled? Is there something that you can be doing right now that's going to make you feel better?
Are you
And are you thriving?
thriving? Yeah.
Are you thriving? It's simple as that. And if you're not, what are you going to do tomorrow to make it better? Or are you
Is
going to get up and you're going to do the same thing you've always done for the past whatever years?
yeah. And
Isn't it?
is there something we're speaking about challenge today? Is there something holding you back from challenging yourself, and what is that? And that leads us very nicely, Sam, onto barriers, as we discuss each and every week with every subject that we speak about. What are the barriers? What is preventing men from challenging themselves and being better and thriving? I've got a few things on my mind, Sam. Is there anything that you'd like to raise?
Barriers. What's stopping people from challenging this? I think I've just said it quite good in what I've just mentioned about that being comfortable,
Yeah.
being too comfortable. I think that's probably the main one for me. It is just like, and it goes back to the technology thing again for me. It's like you've got everything at the touch of a button in your fingertips.
Mm.
You know, you don't even have to go and drive to a shop anymore to get your food. You know, you don't have to go to a gym to do a workout. I mean, you could always go out for a run. That's never been a problem, but you can literally be at home from waking up to going to sleep and do your work, get your shopping and do your workout. And it's that comfort is making people, what's the word? Just making people lesser, or we're talking specifically about men, making men not as thriving as they should be. I think that's the biggest barrier that I can think of. What are you thinking?
Well, I think that it's either a case of great minds think alike, or you're reading the notes that I've got down here.
I'm not.
No, joking aside, I think it obviously highlights that we're very much on the same page, Sam, and we are in danger of each and every week giving the same reasons why men aren't thriving and the same barriers for every subject that we speak about. But it goes back to what we've just said. It's not rocket science. This is simple stuff. But in terms of challenge for me, you know, I have made a few notes, and it's things that I've been sort of pondering. Comfort and convenience. You've just said that, Sam. I don't need to go into any more detail on that.
Yeah.
Everything is a convenience now. Everything's accessible. Everything's at the touch of the button, at the tip of the fingers, like you've just said. And people are just comfortable. People don't know what it's like anymore. And you know, I'm not sat here saying that I do know, because I've also known privileges that previous generations haven't. We all have, of sort of our age, but people don't know what it's like to work hard for something anymore. That, you know, they're so conditioned by just being rewarded without actually any work, any achievement, or having overcome any challenges beforehand. They're getting the reward before there's sort of been any labour.
Yeah.
And I think that's caused real problems, and it's caused us to be so comfortable and mediocre. I think weakness. I think a lot of men today, and it's one of the reasons why we've started this mission and this movement, is there is a lot of weak men today. And I'm reminded of, again, you know, I'm pulling quotes from memory here, so, you know, I apologise if it's not word for word, but there's a saying that goes something along the lines of strong men. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Wow, yeah.
And I think that's so poignant. I think that our generation now is a generation of weak men. and that's why we're experiencing hard times as a society, as a country, as a community of people across the globe, across Western civilization. I think that there is a lot of weak men, and we're a product of those good times, because times have been too good, they've been too easy, and it's created these bad habits. And please don't take that out of context. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have good times, that we shouldn't be happy. That's totally the wrong end of the stick. But I think that is one of the problems. To be honest, is weakness. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Sam, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I fully agree with the weakness, and I think it does go back to that lack of role model, doesn't it, as well? And especially in this country, we look at the very top, the people in charge, the government, and you just think, Jesus, look at the state of some of these people. These are people leading the country, and they probably can't even lace their own shoes, kind of thing.
Well, I think our current Prime Minister is a prime example of what a weak, pathetic man is. Yeah. Can you imagine good old Keir Starmer delivering a rousing speech to Parliament to rally us against the impending invasion of Nazi Germany?
No, you can't, can you? You can't.
He's got the charisma of a damp rag. He's a poor excuse of a man. He probably struggles to get through his bowl of cornflakes in the morning. That's. I'm being harsh here, Sam, but it's where we're at as a society.
Oh, it's true. You look at really strong leaders in the world, and they have that. They demand that respect, and they have that authority about them, and that's why, and that's what we have to look at from the top down. And you come taking away government and leaders and all that, just looking at your own role models in your own life. And this goes back to the fatherhood episode, doesn't it? Really, we've already mentioned that, but that is where it does start. It starts from childhood. You look at your parents, and you want to grow up. You need that good role model to hopefully grow into a strong man, a respectful man, an authoritative person, and just an all-round good person.
Totally agree, Sam. And we really need men to step up to the plate and be strong, be good role models, and pass that knowledge and experience down from generation to generation, instill those very values. And somewhere along the line, that's been lost in translation, and we are where we are today. But the good news is we can do something about it. We're doing this podcast. We're creating this community, and hopefully, we'll set the ball rolling. A couple of other things that have been on my mind for a while, Sam. Not necessarily just thinking about challenge and what that means, and what this episode of the podcast is all about. But I think one of the major problems today, and it is a barrier to why men aren't challenging themselves, is fear of failure.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fear of failure. What if it doesn't work out? What if I don't achieve my goal? What if I don't succeed? Fear of criticism. In the age of social media, and everyone's living their lives online. And I was on my soapbox about this last week, but people are too concerned about what other people think about them, and they're too worried about if someone on on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the latest fad is now doesn't like what they're doing, is critical of what they're doing. They're frightened to death of not meeting people's expectations of them and not conforming the way of the sheep.
Yeah.
We spoke about people being like sheep before. People are frightened to death of sort of stepping out of that production line and not conforming to what society expects of them. And it made me think about you and I, really, and what we're doing with this whole podcast. And we're putting this out there for anyone to listen to. Anyone can, criticize us, abuse us, be keyboard warriors, be nasty, whatever the case may be. And the same goes back to when we wrote music and we played in a band together on stage. I'd like to think it's something that we've always, in spite of those barriers, we've always been good at sort of overcoming it and just doing it, because it would have been so easy to say, I don't want to do this because I'm worried that it'll fail. I'm worried that people won't like it.
Yeah.
But we've just sort of got on with it. And that's what I'd encourage everyone else to do. If there's something that you want to do, if you want to challenge yourself, if you want to try something new, don't give a damn what other people are thinking. Be bold, be brave, be strong, and want to be better, want to challenge yourself, not only for yourself, but for the people who really matter in your life, your network of friends and family, the people who love you and care about you. Don't pay any attention to your quotes friend on Facebook or on the other side of the Instagram app who won't be there for you when the chips are down, who doesn't care whether you succeed or you fail. Stop caring what these people think, and stop paying attention to what everyone else is doing. Because everyone else has got a vape hanging out their mouth looking stupid and damaging their health, it doesn't mean that you should. Do your thing, and that would be my advice on how to overcome these things. And Sam, if you want to chime in and reinforce that or give you a penny's worth, then I'd encourage you to do so, my friend.
Yeah, I agree. You're not so active on the social medias anymore, are you? I'm not really, but it's there and I do use it. And everything what everyone does now, they have to put it on social media to get that external validation of people. Else it's like they just haven't done it if they don't put it. It's like that thing, like take a picture or you haven't done it. Do you know what I mean? It's any achievement or anything like that straight on social media to see how many likes they get. But really, whether you get 1,000 likes or 3 likes, it doesn't really matter, does it? It literally doesn't matter. What matters is the people who are close to you. If they're proud of what you've done, and you can look at them and say, I've done this. Sometimes you might do it for someone. Then I think that's what matters. I see it all the time, and I think you've said it before, Tommy, how you get annoyed and upset with what people are doing on social media, and it does really piss you off because they're so starved for attention. They can't do anything without getting that sort of validation, that attention seeking. Go on.
Sorry, just quickly, Charlie.
Okay.
To the point, Sam, I just wanted to sort of to the point where they're actually concerned about the presentation of the Sunday dinner and whether it's Instagrammable. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Does it taste good? Is it satiating you? Do you feel good? It doesn't matter how it looks for you to share with your virtual world. It's crazy.
No, it is. It is mad. It is. But both of us, we have done it before, haven't we? Where we've put things out there. I sound hypocritical now, but when I did the triathlon, I did put a few pictures on social media. I'm not looking for all the validation. I just put it on there because it's something I was happy with that I've achieved myself. And I've got a lot of family in different parts of the world, and I want them to see it because they can see what I've been doing.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, Sam, and we're not saying that we shouldn't do that and we shouldn't celebrate our achievements and we shouldn't use social media. I don't personally, but it's all about perspective and being used in the right context.
Yeah.
We're just saying that don't let that be a barrier to you challenging yourself and bettering yourself and growing as a man. But no, it's really interesting, that, Sam, and just going back to sort of how to overcome those barriers and everything we've just spoken about, I just wanted to sort of commend you, and it's something I just wanted to speak out loud and say that it's something that I really respect you for. I've already mentioned, obviously, we're doing the podcast. We've written music and put it out there and performed live, and the other thing is, I know you had your YouTube channel where you did some wild camping and some hiking, and just talking to the camera, and you did that yourself, and it must have taken a lot for you to do that, and I really commend you and respect you for doing that, because in spite of what people might think, in spite of what people might say, you just did it anyway because it's something you wanted to do and it's a challenge, and I just wanted to say that, I really respect that.
I appreciate that. It's one of them where I do push myself out my comfort zone all the time. I'm constantly doing it in life. And I've given the example before about the solo traveling. That really did push me beyond anything I've ever done before.
Yeah.
I've played rugby at the highest level. That's a challenge. I've pushed myself in the gym, but doing that really pushed me. And then I think to myself, I'm always thinking, what can I do? What can I do? I'm unfortunately in a position where, I am on my own. I have a lot of free time, so I do come up with ideas to sort of keep myself sane, keep myself busy, keep pushing myself, keep challenging myself, and that's what I do. If it's the YouTube channel, if it's now doing this podcast, if it's doing a physical challenge like the triathlon, there'll be something next. Obviously, I want this to continue forever, but I will still be doing all these physical challenges. Yeah. I'll never stop, because once like I said before, if I ever hit that mundane life, I don't think I ever will, because that's not the person I am. I'm not saying I don't want a relationship. I'd love a relationship, but it's not to be now. And even if I was, I'd still be doing all my own stuff. I'd never ever stop challenging myself like you do, mate. I commend you for all the things you do. You've got a young kid, you've got a missus, and you're still out there getting after it. You're still consistent with the diet. You're still out there walking, and it's brilliant.
It was a huge challenge in of itself for us to uproot and move.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Move to the other side of the country and have to find, my career was going places back in Lancashire, and there was probably going to be better opportunities and bigger financial incentives if I stayed there. But we was called to Northumberland, and it's where we wanted to raise our family. So I had to challenge myself, and I had to put myself out my comfort zone. And I'll not go into too much detail, but whilst I'm in the same sector, I've gone into a completely different sort of side. It's not what my background's in, so it's been a challenge learning new skills at work and getting involved with projects that I've had no experience in previously. So all good examples, and you've given some great examples, Sam, of how you can challenge yourself. And going back to a relationship and finding that connection with someone and a lifetime partner, which it's only a matter of time, mate. I'm confident that will come. But hopefully you can share in these experiences and these challenges with that person as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to stop there. It doesn't have to be a case of being going out there and being a lone wolf and taking everything on your own, because that's what you're doing at the moment, you can share in that with someone else as well.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm coming at it from a point where I'm at my life currently,
yeah,
and I've been in this situation for quite a long time. But there's absolutely no doubt that I'd more than be happy to challenge with someone. And I do challenges with my friends, but there's also challenging with loved ones as well, isn't there? Which will come.
there certainly is, but it whatever your circumstances are, you might have been married for 40 years and have the best relationship ever with your wife. You might do things all the time with your friends, but it is good, it's healthy to take on personal challenges as well. Like some of the examples you've just given, Sam, and so I think it's good to highlight these things. And going back to barriers and something that I've suffered with myself, and again, this might come as a surprise to those who know me personally and who are quite close with me, but I've always sort of been worried about what other people think of me and been a little bit insecure. And using my music as an example, I'd write a lot of songs, and I'd play those on my guitar, and to the point where I'd even sort of be worried about sharing that with my parents or my siblings, because I was worried that they might not like it or they might not think that it's good. And I realise now, looking back, that's a stupid way to feel. And I should never have let that hold me back. But I'd be lying if I said it still doesn't from time to time. Sometimes I'm a little bit more reserved than I should be, and I don't open my mouth because, again, I'm concerned how other people might perceive me. And that's me being honest and saying that that's one of the barriers that I'm currently facing in terms of challenge. But in general, as a whole, something I'm really happy with, something that I feel like I'm thriving. But there are still some barriers that but I've got an awareness of them, Sam, and it's what we always say, it's that self-awareness.
Yeah, it's good. It is. That self-awareness is massive, isn't it? We can't harp on about that enough. You do need to, understand yourself. You've got to sort of make yourself happy. You've got to push yourself before you can do others. Help others. I think it's good to have a little bit of external validation in some things, like you were saying about the music. We've both been there. You write these songs, you present this music to people, and you hope that it's going to be good, but also you want the criticism as well to see where you can do better and what you think could be better. So
that's exactly what I was just going to say, Sam. Is don't let that hold you back. Don't let your insecurities or your worries or fears hold you back. To a certain extent, listen, it's not going to kill you. It might not get the reaction, or you might not get the outcome that you wanted, but it's not going to kill you. You can learn and grow from the experience, and those who really do care about you and want you to succeed, we should be valuing their constructive criticism, their feedback more than anyone else, and take it on the chin and take it on board, and bounce. It's that bounce back ability, like we've spoken about so many times.
Yeah.
So that's me. That was me being honest, Sam, in speaking about barriers for me. Is if we're being completely honest here, is there anything that, and you're doing so well on this, and I'm so proud of everything that you've achieved so far. But is there anything that's been a little bit of a barrier to you from really challenging yourself? And that could be in anything, whether it's learning development, or if it's physical, if it's relationships, it could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, I harp on about how I'm doing this, that, and the other, and telling people you should push yourself and this, that, and the other. But there is always times where I don't push myself as far as I know I can. Very often with training, I know that I can go that little bit further in a run or a swim or something, and I don't for whatever reason. I think I'll hold myself back for the next time. And also, like you, I am not Mr. Sociable. I've been on my own a long time. I live on my own. I'm not out there every weekend talking to women, and do you know what I mean? It's not like that for me. As you get older, you realise who's important to you, don't you? You sort of form these really close groups of friends, and you tend to stick with them unless something really bad happens.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make friends as an adult, as you know. And I think that's something what I'd like to do more, but that means pushing myself even further, going to I don't know, I don't even know what an example is, going to almost come down with me sort of situations.
Yeah.
Where you invite people into your life, random strangers. It's much easier to get on a plane and do it that way, but when it's in your own vicinity, it's in your own area, it's much more difficult, and that's a barrier for me. I think sometimes I don't do what I really do want to do.
Yeah.
I find excuses instead of
We're all-
going doing it.
We're all guilty of that, brother. And
Yeah,
in terms of what you've just said, Sam, I've not had a choice to a certain extent. I've moved to a new place and not known anyone, started a new job, become part of a new community of neighbours, and one thing that I sort of want to challenge myself to do is, and I have done this, we've sort of become integrated and we've made friends and built relationships, is a lot of the a lot of the men just are typically a lot older than we are. But I'd like to tap into that, and I'd like to challenge myself to open up lines of conversations with them and ask them questions, and hope that they might impart some of their wisdom as a man of that age and of that experience, impart some of their wisdom on me. And that's something that I'd love to do going forwards.
Yeah, good to listen, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
We spoke about this on the Fatherhood episode, but one of the best things I ever did and enjoyed is listening to my grandparents, listening to the stories and the wisdom and the things that they've done that will and have inspired me to just be better. I think to myself, like when my granddad used to talk about how he was in the army and some of the drills that they went through and some of the hardships that they had to do on very little rations of food. And I think, gosh, you went through that, and I'm complaining about, like something really stupid, like I've not cut the grass or something.
Yeah.
And you think, Christ, we just need to man up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, Sam. I totally agree with that. In that very same episode, we spoke about how much there is to be learnt from those who went before us, and that's something that I would encourage people to do. Those listening, if there are older men in your life who've got a lot more experience and they've been around the block a few more times than you, then don't be shy of asking them questions. Ask them, what their opinion is on being a great man and what it takes to be a great man. Ask them how to have a successful marriage. Some of these men have been married 60 years plus. Ask them how to be a good father, what their thoughts are on that. Ask them how to be fit and healthy, and have that longevity to get to that point in life where they are. Ask them all these questions, how to be successful in business. Don't be shy. The worst that they can say is, no, I'm not interested in speaking to you. But
I know, yeah.
there's so much to be learned from older, wiser men who have been there and done it.
Yeah. With anything in life, though, you're going to experience some rejection, aren't you? You're going to get a no every now and then. And it's what you do with that. You can either take it and sulk and be miserable, or you can take it as a challenge to understand why was that a no? How would I turn that no into a yeah?
Well,
Simple as that, innit?
Just take it on the chin. Just take it on the chin. At the end of the day, nothing's lost, is it? If you've asked someone a question and
Yeah.
they've been unwilling to answer it, then there's nothing lost at the end of the day. You're not going to die, are you? There's not been some great tragedy.
Unless you're asking them to save your life while you're drowning. You'd think that someone would help you.
Right, Sam. So, as always, we've covered quite a lot there, and I'm sure that when we listen to this back, there'll be moments where I say, I wish I'd have spoke about this or said that. As I have done listening back to the Connect episode that heard last week that I really enjoyed recording, but there were bits that I'd missed off there and thought we've not mentioned this and we've not mentioned that. But all these things will be covered again in more detail. We'll go into more specific things and spend more time speaking about certain aspects of these pillars. But as always, Sam, I just thought it'd be good to speak about accountability. So we've touched on barriers there to challenge, but to recap on what we've said previously, are you getting on, Sam? Is the television still in the bedroom? I'm calling you out on air again.
Right, I'll tell you what's happened with that. Being honest, the telly is no longer on the stand, which it was on in the bedroom. It's been moved to the floor, so it's little steps. Because after we mentioned that, I'm not smashing a telly up as much as I want to. It's an expensive telly, and I haven't got money to burn. But I was away last week, didn't watch telly, so this week it's been a week almost. It's not been turned on, and a few days ago I just thought I'm just gonna. It seems like a little win, but I just put it on the floor.
Sam,
it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Sam. We we don't want to hear excuses. The brethren are sick and tired. It's a 5-minute job. Get it out the room.
It's slowly getting towards the door, mate. It's just I can't quite let go. But other than that, mate, if we're talking about everything else, the diet's on point currently.
What have you? Come on, let's get real for a minute now. What have you consumed today? What have you put in the body?
Food wise today, I
want you to be real honest with me right now.
I'm going to be honest. I don't eat breakfast generally, so it got to like midday, and I had some eggs and some.
Can you feel the tension?
Oh God, the listeners don't know what you're on about, mate.
In terms of eggs, are we talking? Was it a case of boiled because you was on the
boiled?
Road,
yeah.
Was it? So it wasn't. Can I just clarify? It wasn't a nice 4-egg scramble.
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately, as I said before, I'm on the road a lot. I've nowhere to scramble an egg in my car, so I boiled 8 eggs at the beginning of the week. I've been going through them. I'm a big fan of meatballs.
How many have gone down the hatchet today?
So it's a 4 meatball scramble.
What about the eggs?
with a 2-egg boiled.
2 eggs? Poor showing.
I know it is.
I'll just remind everyone.
Upset with myself.
Let's remind everyone who's listening in here that I was criticised earlier for having a free egg scramble accompanying my succulent ribeye steak, prime cut, fresh from the farm. And then we've got Sam here who's eating Italian meatballs and only 2 eggs. Disgusting.
I know. It's embarrassing, really, isn't it? I was trying to ration myself, but other than that, it's fluids, it's water, it's strictly only water. Snacking, I'm snacking on, so it's fruit. I've had dried mango today, which is not the best, but It's still a whole food. Apple and pear. That's it.
Yeah.
Evening meal today. What did I have for that? Oh, I had a fillet steak for my evening meal with a few potatoes. So that's it. What about you? And be honest. Oh, actually, you've already shown me, haven't you? But tell the listeners.
Well, yeah. Well, I mentioned it earlier. Obviously, I had my last meal yesterday at 6 p.m. and then I did a 24-hour fast until 6 p.m. today. I consumed a lovely prime cut of ribeye steak, cooked in butter, laced in pink Himalayan salt. Not going to be shy with that.
Delightful.
Accompanied by a side of 3 scrambled eggs and about 50 grams of extra mature cheese. And that was it. And then after that, I just had a couple of handfuls of grapes. And here I am. I've had a cup of milk as well. Unfortunately, it wasn't raw because I didn't have access to any today. But it was certainly whole milk. None of that nonsense that's masquerading as milk.
Almond milk.
But yeah, I'm feeling incredible, Sam. I'm lean. I feel strong. I feel fast. I feel athletic. I'm this completely no context here for the listeners, but I am the same weight that I was when I was 16 now.
Good.
For the first time since then. So I'm really trimming up. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, yeah.
Chiseled.
And you look
like Go on.
I was just going to say, you look at what you've eaten there, and it's not difficult to prepare at all, is it? No. A couple of eggs thrown in a pan. You've fried off a steak, and you've got the most nutritious meal that's ever been produced. Easy. Yeah. Doesn't cost a fortune. I know steaks, can be different in price. You don't necessarily have to have a steak. You can have some beef mince.
The way I look at it, Sam, is if you cut out all the other garbage and all the, eating in excess and all these unnecessary snacks and all the processed crap, then you balance the books. You're no longer buying that stuff, but yeah, you might be buying a couple of ribeye steaks, a couple of fillets. You might be getting through eggs like they're going out of fashion, but you will balance the books. And just cut your cloth accordingly. We're not saying, go out there and get yourself up to your eyeballs in debt so you can eat steak every meal. Like, be sensible. Do the best with the resources that are available to you.
Yeah. And how cheap are eggs? I know I harp on about eggs, but my God, it's like £2 for 6? Don't get 6, £3 for 12. You know what I mean? It's so easy and accessible. Pick up them eggs instead of picking up that Beyond Burger or some vegan crap.
Well said, Sam. Very well said. Excellent, some might say.
The egg jokes are coming now. Not even Easter.
No. So yeah, in terms of the other sort of pledges and commitments that we've made, Sam, any other progress updates to report?
We're talking based off the previous pillars, aren't we? So the connecting and the fuel and recovery.
Yeah.
Connecting. What was you going to say?
Have you done any grounding? Be careful that there are Mythbusters listening in.
No, I bet there are. Yeah. Be honest with you, mate. I've not grounded this week yet. I've just not had time, to be honest. With working and training, it's not been a focal point. But as for the connecting, I've been connecting way more with my son this past weekend gone.
Beautiful.
Oh, we had such a good little moment at the park at the weekend. Just that father and son kicking a ball about kicking a football about on the park. It's so rewarding. It's such a nice thing. It releases all them great hormones, and it's like it just takes me back to when I was a little kid of 6 years old, throwing a ball about with my dad. I'm like, this is what life is about. This is thriving.
Special
And
memories, mate.
you know what it's like. Yours is only a lot younger than mine, but just them little walks on the beach that mean a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Fills me with joy hearing you say that, Sam, and sharing your experience there. But I can sort of relate to that. I spoke about wanting to be more present with my son and putting the phone down, and I've really been battling with that and doing my best. And I've sort of gotten into a new routine now where I will take him upstairs just before bedtime, and rather than being sat downstairs and having the distraction of toys and television and stuff like that, we go upstairs, we select an handful of books, and we start to wind down, and I read to him, and beautiful little moments. He picks a book himself up and he offers it to me like, this is what I want you to read, Daddy, and puts his hand on me, and just little moments like that, really connecting on a really deep and meaningful level. There's no better feeling, really. And then with the missus as well, just taking time out to have those conversations and just be present with each other and speak and see where we're both at. After a long day at work, sometimes it's easy to come in and just try and switch off immediately, but it's nice just to be there and lend each other an ear and just chat things through. And yeah, that's been really nice as well.
It's good to hear. You're connecting the best you can.
And I've got some major news. I've got some major news, Sam, which you'll be delighted to hear.
Breaking news.
Yeah, the missus has turned the past couple of shows cold at the end.
Oh my God.
She's thriving. I'm
buzzing. Actually, she did tell me that. She said it was absolutely awful, but she's done it.
Long may it continue, glad, my friend.
I'm glad. That's all I asked from people. I said, just try it, and it's not going to be nice, but you'll get used to it in the end, especially when it's warm.
Yeah.
Get in that cold shower.
Yeah.
Love it.
I concur, my friend. Now, to the brethren out there listening in, as always, we encourage you to get in touch and let us know. Have you been turning the shower cold, even if it's for the last 10 seconds? Have you been getting out there with your bare feet grounded and anchored into the earth, into your lawn, into the beach, wherever that may be? Have you been connecting on a deep and meaningful level with your loved ones? Have you indeed cut out all the ultra-processed garbage food in your life? And have you been reading the ingredients on the back of the packaging? Please do reach out and let us know. Now, Sam, it's everyone's favourite time. It's time for Room 101. What are we getting rid of?
Oh, God, here we go again. We've got to 6 episodes and I've yet to put anything in other than vapes, haven't I? So I always struggle to think of what to get rid of. So this is where I'll pass it over to you, mate, to give me your Room 101 gift.
I'm the one asking the questions around here, so.
Hey, no then. You seem to have more of an idea, whereas I don't.
I've not given it any thought ahead of today, to be honest, Sam, but I mean, there's so much that we could get rid of, isn't there? And again, I don't want to keep saying the same things and putting the same things in, like we said with the barriers, but what's going in Room 101 for me today? It's
Can we put? Are we allowing mindsets to be put in room 101?
Put
Like a
whatever you want
specific
in.
mindset.
Put whatever you want in, mate. Anything that's holding men back and preventing them from challenging themselves and being better.
Because I think that specific mindset of following the trends, trying to follow that latest fashion or chasing that stupid latest trend, that really does drive me insane.
Let's put the cookie cutters in.
That's what the cookie cutters. That's what we'll call it. That's the old term from Big Lenny, one of our heroes. R.I.P. Yeah. People don't know who Big Lenny is. If you want to know who Big Lenny is, put in YouTube Big Lenny and you'll see all about it. But it's basically a cookie cutter. Advisory. A cookie cutter is someone who follows the latest trends, can't really think for themselves, is just a sheep to society basically. And we want to stop that. Be your own man.
Yeah, it is what it says on the tin. You know, everyone's cut out of the same mold today. Everyone's a cookie cutter, so don't be one. Yeah. What would I put in room 101? It's again mindset. Very similar thing, Sam. Don't sort of be of the impression that you need to conform to what society expects of you. You know, step out of the box and be your own man and shape your own destiny.
Yeah. So we're putting conformity in the.
Yeah, don't conform.
Cookie cutters. Yeah,
do not
that's
conform.
A good one. It's a good one. It's holding people back because they want to chase something that's nonsense.
Yeah. I was very close to putting social media in there, but I think I've already done that.
Yeah.
Again, and I'm trying to keep it fresh and different. But the reason I put that in is for the very same reasons, because it, you know, I tell you what, I'll give you cookie cutters, Sam. I'll put fear in.
Fear.
Yeah, don't let fear hold you back.
Yeah.
No. Feedback from the brethren, Sam. What's come across your desk this week following the latest episode?
And
then I'll offer a bit of something.
Yeah, so just I've had one specific friend who's listened to the Connect episode, and he said to me specifically, he said he's realised that he's not connecting with certain members of his family as much as he should be doing.
Yeah,
and that sort of triggered something in him to do that. Specifically, family members with ill health, and I was so empathetic to that, because I know that in the past that I wish I'd spent more time with specific grandparents who are sadly no longer with us. So it did relate to that, and he said it really got to him. So that's good. And other than that, it's been really good. I think I've had the feedback where they said the episodes are, the length of it is quite good. They like that it's long. You know, it keeps them interested for a long period of time, which is good. It means we're talking about interesting things. So, yeah. What about you?
Just on that, Sam, before I sort of speak about what I've had come through the mailbox, but yes, you know, the purpose of this is educational, it is self-help, it is about learning development, it is us to a certain extent sharing our thoughts and beliefs on what people should do and how men can become great again and how they can thrive in each and every aspect and become better. But I also like to think that the way we do this and the way we have these conversations is that it does feel to the listeners like they're just having an honest conversation with two close friends. You know, whether you do know us or whether you're one of the millions and millions in Mongolia and across the world. You know, those in Buenos Aires, in River Plate, and in the
River Plate.
in the outback of the Ivory Coast. You know, wherever you might be listening in, whether you know us on a personal level or not, I hope that it is personable to you, that you can relate to it, and that you find our approach sort of open and yeah, it does feel conversational. We don't want to be preaching at people and be sort of condescending in any way, shape or form. We're doing this because we love it. We're doing it because we're passionate about it, and we really want to drive this mission forward and help men become better. So I just wanted to sort of reiterate that, Sam. So I've had some really good things come through, actually. I've already mentioned one of the guys who's been in touch, close friend of the podcast. I recently shared the podcast with another friend who I'd not spoken to for a bit, and he wasn't aware that we was doing this. A very close friend down in, he's on the east side of the country like me, but he's a little further south, down in the beautiful county of Norfolk. You're listening in, brother. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. And he sort of binged listens to the episodes, and he sent me quite a few messages through. And something that I thought was fantastic, and it's everything that we're looking for, and it's what we hope people will take. An example of what we hope people will take from our episodes, Sam, is he told me that he was listening to the podcast and he was eating crisps and sweets. And I think he was listening to the Fuel and Recovery one in particular on this occasion, and he said to himself, no, this is absolute garbage. So he put them in the bin. He's been the job lot, and you know he's turning over a new page when he gets up in the morning, and he's starting fresh, and he's looking to prioritise those natural whole foods that we spoke about previously, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And he followed that up with another message later on, which was really encouraging, put a smile on my face. He said that it's so positive, encouraging and powerful, and he wants us to keep up the good work. So that meant a lot, you know. I was really grateful, and it really sort of gave me that little bit that I needed to reinforce why we're doing this.
Yeah, it's good, especially when it's so almost like instant change what people are doing. Like you said with the crisp, I mean that's incredibly powerful, isn't it? For someone to just think, oh, what I'm doing is wrong. Let me change this straight away. I love that, specifically with the diet. Can't ask for more.
Sam, once again, thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Is there anything else from you on challenge?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot there, haven't we? Just to summarise, I hope that people listening to this will once they've listened to this, go out and do something that they wouldn't normally do. I said it right at the beginning. Push yourself out that comfort zone, please. Try and do something that you wouldn't normally do, whether it just be a small change in your day. Please do try, because you will thrive. It'll change the course of your day. It'll make you feel brilliant.
Yeah.
And I just encourage anyone to do it.
Really good summary there, Sam. And if I could just offer my key takeaways for the brethren today is, really do challenge yourself both mentally and physically. Learn something new, whether that's reading a book, learning how to use a new tool in a DIY project, an instrument, anything like that. Just learn something that improves your cognitive function. Challenge yourself physically as well. That might be as simple as going out for a walk each day because you don't currently do that. Or it might be pushing yourself to achieve better results in the gym. It might be lifting an heavier weight. It might be getting some extra reps on your set, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It might be going out there and doing some play and getting involved in a new sport. it might be doing challenge, play and connect by going doing something with a loved one and, you know, having a game of catch. And, you know, I try and keep it really simple, but challenge yourself mentally and physically. Be conscious about it. And yeah, don't let the barriers hold you back. Knock them down. We've told you how to do it. If you need any help or any support, any guidance, as always, reach out to us.
Yeah,
Sam?
Please do. And just on that, mate, we've got the, as always, we've got the Instagram. We've got the Instagram, which is there. It's just at Thrive Talking. If you want to send us a message, the inbox is always open. We've got the YouTube channel there, which these podcasts are uploaded to that straight away.
Are they up to
Hopefully
date,
at
Sam?
some point. They are up to date, mate. Yeah,
we did have a couple of the listeners who that's the platform that they use to join in, and they noticed that I think we was an episode behind, but that's up to date now. The man in charge of that is telling us that it's on there. So
yeah, it's all good. Everything's up to date, and yeah, we welcome the feedback as always. So yeah, just get in touch.
Now, finally from me, Sam, it's another new segment. It's something that we sort of included in the last episode, but not consciously. But so it's a couple of nuggets of wisdom just to leave people to contemplate and stew over until the next episode. So this week I'll be covering it. Next week Sam will offer some nuggets of wisdom, and we'll try to keep them relative to the subject that we've been speaking about. So a couple of things that I wanted to leave with you following today's episode on challenge is, and again, you know, I know that not everyone listening in is spiritual, not everyone's a Christian, not everyone believes, but, you know, whether you do or not, there's something that can be taken from these messages, so I'd encourage you to just think about them. So Romans 5:3-4 tells us that we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And I just thought that linked in beautifully with what we spoke about today with challenge. So have a think about that, guys. Think about that. You know, temporary suffering through taking on a challenge will produce perseverance in your life. It will make you more resilient. That will improve your character and build your character, and that will give you hope for future and any challenges that come your way following that. And I just thought that was beautiful, and I really wanted to share that with you today. And then finally, from the great Stoic philosopher Lucius Annaeus Seneca, one of his famous quotes is, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult."
Beautifully said.
I'll leave you with that.
Nice one, Tommy. Love that one. So, guys, you've been listening to Thrive Talking, the Making Men Great Again podcast, sponsored by On a Bone Clothing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's goodbye from me until next week.
And it's goodbye from me. God bless.
See ya. Bye.